Hey, Coach. Good to see you.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, I know you guys have like your own things that you guys are trying to work through, but what are the difficulties of preparing for a team that doesn't have Caitlin Clark out there tonight?
Well, we found out about 5 minutes before shoot around today. So we had a game plan and practiced it yesterday, and then not having her, she's their engine, and so it changes what what you do. Not to say that they don't, they've got other great players. I'm not saying that, but she is the catalyst. So you have to kind of adjust your game plan for that. So we found out truly like 5 minutes before shoot around. Luckily, it was before shoot around. So we adapted on the fly, and at this point, we need to focus on ourselves and finishing games and doing everything we can to end on the winning side of these close games. And I anticipate tonight will be the same.
And if I can, you know, the last couple of games in the fourth quarter, you guys have been hit with some pretty big runs. Kind of what are you looking from your group tonight to kind of make sure? I know you mentioned before play the full 40 minutes, but what are you looking for out of your group tonight to be able to do that?
Well, and that's the great question. And we've talked about that. We talked about that as a group yesterday. It's one thing to say, finish the game, play 40 minutes, but what does that mean? And so we had to, really evaluate. I think some of that comes with offensive rebounding, limiting I thought we did a pretty good job defensively against Chicago in terms of rotations and that kind of thing, but we gave up 28 second chance points, and a lot of those were in the fourth quarter. So, and when we lost to Golden State in overtime at home, that's how they beat us too, was just getting some key offensive rebounds and second chance points at really pivotal times. So we've got to finish the possession, and then we can't let our either side of the ball affect the other side. So if we miss a shot, against Chicago, we got good looks. We just didn't make them, and we can't let that affect our defense. And conversely, the other team scores, we can't let that affect our offense. So having that mental toughness to just the next play with the intensity it takes to win in this league, especially on the road.
Thank you.
You bet.
Go Harvey.
Hey, what's going on, Coach?
Hey.
I want to know, like, what's been the focus of the team, like, as far as like just finishing games strongly, and are you guys watching film, or what are they doing to kind of like, what are you all doing to kind of prepare for that?
Yeah. Well, like for an example, after the game, the Chicago game, hold on here. Sorry. After the Chicago game, the next day we watched the first quarter, how our ball was moving, how we were defending, and then we watched the fourth quarter, like to really sense what the difference is. And what you see is just our team getting tight and almost playing not to lose. And that's not how you win, to play not to lose. And so, I think we're all frustrated with the outcomes. But, we've also been hit with a ton of adversity, and we've got to maintain perspective and not lose sight of just next game, next play, quit worrying about what it all means. And I feel like we're really, really close, but that only counts in, what's the saying, in hand grenades and horseshoes. So it doesn't really count to be close in basketball, but we just have to keep pushing.
Do you feel like your ability as a coach to relate to the players kind of helps them smooth things out, especially that you got like a lot of young players and a couple of veterans? So do you feel like your ability as a coach, like being able to relate to them, kind of helps the process easier, even though you guys are not, kind of finishing like how you guys want?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I am confident in is my ability to connect with players and create relationships with them. And, they want to do right. They want to succeed. They want to achieve. And I think sometimes coaches can lose sight of that and come at them in ways that doesn't help. And so, I'm blessed to have a good group. They want to learn. They want to do right. They're coachable. They keep showing up with the same attitude. So those are the things that you need as a coach, and you just keep pushing, just keep chopping wood. The moment you kind of stop chopping, it's over, and they haven't shown any signs of that. But yeah, I try to keep it, as positive as possible, while still being real with them. But my saying is always the sun will come up. And the sun came up, and here we are. We get to play again, and tomorrow the sun's going to come up and we got to regroup and reattack whether we win or lose tonight. So that's my mindset in life, and I try to, impose that on them as well.
Thank you, Coach.
Charlotte.
Hi, Coach.
Hey, Charlotte.
I just wanted to talk to you about a couple of games ago. Kelsey had brought it up, and I think you had kind of supported her in her stance about her getting more opportunities to the free throw line. Have we seen in response to that since then any improvements or just any difference made prior to that?
In terms of how it's officiated on her?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a across the league feeling, right? That the game is, I think there's places where physicality is allowed and should be, post defense, screen defense, that kind of thing, rebounding. Like physicality is part of the game there. I think right now, some of the elite players are, even getting open, it's physical. Them trying to cut, it's physical. And that's where I think it needs to be, whatever. But I do think, I think KP's being able to move a little bit better, but you'd have to ask her if she really sees that or not.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Yeah, you mentioned, like you said, other players had definitely brought it up, including the team you're playing tonight. So just your take about being the physicality. Do you think that's something that can be resolved by the refs, or is that more so on the players' end?
Well, I think players will adjust to whatever. If it's allowed to be super physical, then players are going to be physical. If it's called, they'll adjust. I think that's a bigger, more systemic look that needs to be evaluated by the league. And I know they're doing that. And I don't think there's any officiating. I think these guys, the officials, they do a good job. They do I don't think that they're out here trying to call it one way when everyone wants it. I think they're doing what they've been asked to do. And so as a league, we need to decide, is this how we want our game to move forward, or do we want to make some adjustments? And I'll tell you what, that's way above my pay grade, and I don't know how it'll land, but we'll adjust wherever it does land.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
My pay grade too.
Back to Justin for the last question.
Coach, you mentioned keeping the things positive with the team. You guys are human beings. You're not robots. So when you guys do go through this stretch of tough play, can it be tough to keep them in a positive frame of mind, to not focus too much on the negatives that have happened in recent weeks?
Yeah, I think it could, but I think it starts with me. I've got to fight that. I think it's been frustrating. The injuries have been frustrating. The players out have been frustrating. But I'm choosing not to focus on that. If I coach frustrated, if I act frustrated, then how can I expect them to not? So it really starts with me, and the ownership's on me to create the tone of our team and how we want things to be. But again, it cannot be, when we're trying to go from last place to making the playoffs, it cannot be always outcome driven, right? We can't be happy, out of our heads if we win and devastated when we lose. It's got to be, are we going to be better tonight than we were against Chicago? Are we going to be better at rebounding? Making sure that we have tangible things that the players can focus on, so it's not so outcome driven, so that there's, the emotions aren't, you're not devastated when you lose and out of your mind when you win. I think you've got to stay pretty consistent, but that starts with me.
I appreciate it.
You bet.
Last question, Andrew Jones.
Thanks a lot as always, Joshua. Coach, always good to see you, and you always still in good spirit no matter what the situation is.
That's right, Andrew. That's right. Life's good.
Definitely. That's the jovial person that you are all the way. Shea Petty, you talked about the other day about how she's just been so locked in with her having this opportunity. Just talk about a little bit more about that, and if you had any talks with Stephanie White before any time, or is this the first time you met Stephanie White tonight?
I'll start with Shay. Shay's been phenomenal, and I enjoy her as a human being as well as a player. She's just a complete pro. Great attitude. Studies, making sure that she's caught up to speed with what we're trying to do. Holds herself accountable. And comes in with a vet voice. Like she's played a lot, and she's not afraid to talk, but she does it in a way where she kind of understands her role. But I've been so impressed with her and grateful that we were able to grab her. She's been a much needed addition for us. In terms of Steph White, yes, I've met her. We've talked. I haven't seen her today yet, but I know Steph.
Great, thank you.
All right, appreciate you all. See you after the game.